Basically, the talk is about AWS with Unity. I have so before giving it, I would like to give the background about this talk basically, and a couple of things about me. So I have started developing games on Unity around 7 8 years back. It was just a passion. I wasn't very much into playing games, but rather developing it. So I have started developing games on Unity as an hobby, 2D and 3D games. Later, after developing games, I went to an MNC. I was developing simulated systems environment on Unity, and then leaving that, I came back. I have started my own the service company called as Damacloid Technologies, wherein we create custom services, custom softwares. It means both game and ERP applications and stuff. Over there, we started using cloud services, and we understood the power of cloud services, how they enhance the security, how they enhance the the scalability and stuff. And then I realized that this AWS services, basically not specifically AWS, any of the cloud computing, goes very good with gaming technologies. This game engines, and they have best services that can be used to make your game more secure, more reliable, more happening. Basically, so this is the basic background of the what we will be talking about in discussing about in next 1 hour or so. Okay, so going forward, first we so for moving forward, we will start with what is cloud computing basically. So cloud computing, is a method of utilizing uh, on-demand computer services via the internet. Okay, so you have this in typical word you can say computer services, which includes servers, storage, analytical tools, analytics, basically AI, intelligence, databases, network over the internet. So so in a nutshell, cloud computing is something which provides all the services, all the computer services which you require on demand over the internet. You do not need to have this physical environment, physical services and stuff. Yeah, you typically pay only for what you use. You do not have to just say, you do not need to have a big servers, those kind of things physically over in your environment or any of the places. So, and also most important, when we use cloud computing, as I said, it is more of pay as you use kind of thing. So over there, what happens is, in case in future if you want to scale up your game or you want to scale up your environment, it's not that difficult. With zero downtime, you can scale it. You can budget your infra basically on demand. Okay, so these are a couple of benefits of cloud. Uh, Productivity is very good. As I said, you they have very good bandwidth, low latency, and stuff they provide. So that is the reason you get a good productivity. Offsite data storage, many a times it happens is when we log users, our game users data, we face the problem of storing a huge database. So you have this offsite data storage when you can archive it and you can store it easily. It can be usable in future any a time when you want. Uh, since it is on cloud, you do not have any physical servers. You do not have to worry about very cost effective hardware and so maintenance cost is very low. They have good disaster management. Many of these cloud engines provide 99% uptime, and so they claim. Uh, as I said, since it is on cloud, you pay on what you use. Uh, the ownership cost is too low. Upgradation is very quick without if suppose you have deployed your system on some, let's say, 4 GB system, 4 GB virtual system on the cloud, and in case in future you are getting more users, now you want to update it, or you want to upgrade it. If it is not on the cloud, you have to worry about those things. So on the cloud with the zero downtime, you can upgrade it anywhere. Now, why make games on cloud? This is very, very important thing. When to all the game developers basically and all the companies who owns game basically. So there are a couple of things which we should, which the AWS or the cloud engines helps us when we build games. Okay, so better gaming experience. So cloud services can lighten the development burden of table stake infrastructure and mechanics, basically giving you more time and energy to focus on what your player wants. So you can invest more time of developing the, enhancing the user experience rather than investing your time and effort in building the infrastructure and mechanics, because it you get everything well structured on the cloud services basically. Scalability, it is very easy to scale. uh, at any time, at any place, you can upgrade, update your systems. So as we are talking about games do require heavy processing, server engines and backend engines basically. We can keep innovating. So since our most of the times, we do not have to worry about the infra and all over there. We can with that, the cloud engines provide an online services like for a, auto intelligence, machine learning. Using that services, we can, as you know, because when we develop a game engines updates are basically dependent on how your players are responding to you. Okay, so using the tools and the services, we'll discuss these tools and services in the future slides. We can update, or we can keep innovating new things depending upon how the user is performing the game and stuff. Security is again the most important thing when it comes to developing games. uh, as you all know, any of the, whether it is a web application or a mobile application, anything, when we say it is secure on client side, there is no such thing called a security on client side. We get a good uh, uh, security services to update our, to keep our application secure and stuff. So recently we developed a web service for RMG kind of application, wherein all the security, basically player matching, automatic player matching, and score monitoring, leaderboard creation, and those stuffs were all been handled on the server side. Okay, so security is also something which is very crucial for any kind of game, which can be, this cloud services provides it better. Now coming to the core of the topic, the AWS Game Tech. So AWS Game Tech. So basically, AWS have more than 175 services which they claim. Uh, those services, they provide basically all kind of services in all kind of, the life cycle of any kind of game, whether it is multiplayer game or simple leaderboard kind of game or any kind of games basically. So they are so these services, which basically includes social features. You can keep, develop login screens using social sites, social networks like Facebook, Gmail kind of login. Monetization is, you can they have services to monitor your business analytics, your game analytics, so that using that you can monetize your games and stuffs accordingly. Player engagement is good. They have this uh, services for sending notifications, mail, SMS, and stuffs. They have good community features. They have good community engagement thing. They have anti chat features. So in a nutshell, they most of the elements which we require to develop a very, very reliable and very, better game, better this game. They we can This AWS Game Techs provide those kind of features to us. So these are a couple of services. As I said, they have this, more of 175 plus services. We can't go through all of them. So I have listed out a couple of them. So we can so just couple of things which is most oftenly used when any kind of architecture or any kind of services we develop. Uh, so Amazon API Gateway, basically Amazon API Gateway is when we develop any kind of game and we want this REST calls or any WebSocket calls, we can use an Amazon API Gateway for creating a basic independent API gateways which interacts, which have features to interact other services of AWS like their database or their uh, let's say Elasticsearch or any kind of storages, buckets and all. Then there is this Amazon Cognito. Amazon Cognito is basically you can we can use and Amazon Cognito helps to authenticate the user if the user is legitimate user and maintain the sessions of any of the game. So using Amazon Cognito, we have this underlying architecture wherein we can authenticate the user, we can process the user through a authenticated channel and stuff. The next thing is Amazon Lambda. So Lambda is basically uh, uh, a webhook, we can say, or a trigger where which we directly develop on the Amazon services. Over there, we suppose, like, for an example, if we need to uh, process a payment, if there is a payment thing happen, or if you are, so let's take an example wherein if you want to store your users or your players image, and on storing the image you want to update or trigger any kind of uh, let's say database value, the URL. So what happens is we this Lambda works independently. This get integrated with any kind of this storage bucket. So let's say when we are storing an image on S3, the moment we store the image on S3, it triggers the Lambda function. That Lambda function has the integration with its database and other services, and then with the logic which has been written or been mentioned in Lambda, it gets triggered and basically gets the so whatever the needs, so whatever the actions to be taken, it executes basically. So you can any of the programming languages can be used to write the Lambda code: Node.js, PHP, Java. So there are 4 or 5 languages which they have this IDE for. Then there is this Amazon Pinpoint. Using Amazon Pinpoint, the suppose in a scenario wherein you want to notify your players if they are offline, or you want to send an SMS or a what we say notification basically to the players. Amazon Pinpoint is a service which can be used. Then we have this Amazon DynamoDB. DynamoDB is basically a NoSQL database wherein we can store. They have a good throughput throughout basically, and the storage, and they provide a good speed and a good performance when we deal with a NoSQL or non-relational data, basically unstructured data basically. Other than that, there is this Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is in memory uh, database. So for example, this can be used whenever we are creating a leaders board. So let's say if there is any kind of game, a racing game, or any kind of game wherein you have to quickly provide users with real time leaders board, Elasticsearch comes into picture. Instead of storing the data directly on your RDS or DynamoDB, or any of the games, with any of the game, or the this is live or the tournament is live, we can keep storing it in the Elasticsearch. Since it is in memory, it is comparatively very fast to create the leaderboard and stuff, because leaderboard is something which is used very oftenly when any kind of tournament kind of games is being played. Okay, then there is this Amazon RDS. RDS is relational database. So we have they have MySQL, MariaDB, any kind of relational DB which we use in while developing any kind of game. So they have these things. There is this Amazon SNS. Amazon SNS is basically It is a pubs. It provides pubs up functionality wherein let's say you have an game or uh, a game basically wherein you have to push message or let's say if there is it is an round based application like Ludo or those kind of game uh, where uh, where the rounds where each we have to monitor rounds and each player have to play after after the previous game after the previous player. Ludo or examples are Ludo, uh, Team Pati kind of game, all the poker games basically. So SNS have this PubSub model wherein this messaging services can be triggered, and based on that we can manage the business logic of our users, or what we say the players events. Then we have this Amazon S3. Amazon S3 is where you can store your images, your videos. It's basically a bucket uh, wherein all those kind of services can be, all those kind of assets can be stored and can be retrieved. So there are a couple of more this features like uh, Amazon Nessus and AWS Glue and other features. So as I told, they have about 175 plus services, which can be, so not only Amazon, AWS, other gaming, other cloud services like Google or Azure. They have these features, irrespective of any of the games. We can utilize these features and services so that our game can be more reliable and more functional, more flexible, let's say, plus cost effective when we develop any kind of heavy functioning or more games with high features and those kind of things. Okay, so coming back to this, so AWS AWS Mobile SDK, they have developed this in, I believe, 2016 or so, uh, for the Unity platform, Unity engine. So most of the time, what happens is we develop games which has to work on multiple device ratio, multiple devices like mobile device, or let's say a tablet or those kind of things. So they have this mobile SDK have all in one services which we just talk about in the past slide. So they safeguard AWS. So basically, safeguard AWS credentials. Uh, so using AWS Cognito, the one which mentioned to that helps to authenticate. So access AWS resources, safeguarding AWS credentials. Okay, so using AWS Cognito, this we can AWS Cognito, we can access AWS resource. So basically, many times what happens is, uh, as I said, we can so a user. So in a game, there are different levels. Each level have access to certain features of the game. In that case, AWS Cognito, which is a feature of this mobile SDK for Unity, comes into picture, wherein we can specify with this level the player have a limited access at different levels. Okay, so safeguarding AWS credentials, this is something, store and sync across devices. So many a times it happens is we have certain games which has to run on multiple uh, devices at once. So we don't want, so a single session for multiple devices. In that case, if those kind of games are very much level dependent uh, or feature dependent, in that case, if a user, suppose if the user is playing a game on certain device and he clears level 1 or level 2, that should also on a real time basis should reflect on another device, so that the syncing of their level, or uh, the place or the movement of the players is in sync basically. So over here we can Amazon Cognito can be used. Amazon Cognito basically helps to send a silent notification to devices with the same users. Basically it has this, they provide an encrypted uh, token to each user, using which every user have a unique sessions and can be identified across devices. So storing and syncing across devices is very much this is some of the best features which can be used. And then storing assets in the cloud. So many times when there is a game which is very much asset intensive assets are there, we can't create those heavy games and and launch it to the play stores or any of the this or the Apple Store or any kind of platforms. So in that case, they have this game assets storage kind of thing wherein we put all our assets over there. We can download the game, and that and then the game can sync to the asset, and all the features or assets can be downloaded, and the game can work. No SQL database, as I mentioned, most of the games have this unstructured DB structure. So the SDK comes with all these features inside it. It's basically it's available on this AWS website, and can be used and utilized for developing any kind of mobile applications, wherein this features are very much important and are necessary basically. Now coming forward to the database. So again, irrespective to any application, even if we are developing any kind of game, database is something very important. And it has to be secure, it has to be good, it has to be quick. So they have so we so and plus it should be easily available. Plus it should it should be secure, so that none of the hackers or any of is no one basically can do any kind of malfunctioning or any kind of this hijacking of your data. So database, so they have this intensive architecture of database. So some of the use cases to develop a database. So some of the use cases, where the database services can be used are building a leaderboard. So basically, when we build a leaderboard for any users, uh, we have this different features which can be used for creating. So as I mentioned previously, we have this Elasticsearch. Using Elasticsearch, we can render the data more easily and more quickly. Then using Lambda, we can trigger at the moment there is any kind of update in leaderboard. For example, any of the tournaments which is live basically, and the changes of the point changes is very quick in seconds. In that moment, this becomes very important. Then we can use the other database like RDS or NoSQL database to model, to keep the multiplayer games. So eventually, when there is multiplayer games, we need to maintain each player's session with whom he's playing, with at what level he or she is playing, the player is playing. So modeling the data, creating inventory systems. Inventory is again very important. A very heavy intensive storage for any kind of games, because most of the games are very much, it should be user friendly and very interactive. So the assets are quite heavy, the rendering of the assets should be very quick. So inventory systems can be created using this database services for provided by them. Building a turn-based game, as I mentioned, we can Amazon SNS can be used over here, wherein PubSub model, uh, turn-based, any kind of turn-based game, wherein like Ludo or Teen Patti or Rummy kind of game, or any kind of poker games can be built on this, where we can store each user's session, or playing event or the audit trail basically, and then hit the Amazon SNS, so that they can move from one player to another player, keeping the assets and the data of that particular game or event. So basically, so I have got this image from their website. So basically, it is one of the use cases of leaders board. So so if you will go through this, so they have this. So the architecture is basically very quite straightforward, wherein the player comes to the Amazon API gateway. The API gateway, as I mentioned, it is a services provided by them wherein we can create any kind of REST APIs, post or get, or even the WebSocket based APIs. Okay, they interact. It can be integrated with your Cognito, Amazon Cognito, which validates your user if the user is legitimate or at what level he or she is, maintaining those kind of things. This can be integrated with AWS Lambda. So means going through this. So the as I mentioned, Lambda is independent service. It's basically a trigger which can be integrated at any kind of events can occur. For example, in this case, let's say if there is any kind of update happening in the database, wherein the when the leaderboard is changing or those kind of thing happens. So Amazon Lambda can trigger the Amazon pinpoint and send a notification to the user who are currently offline. So let's say there is this live event going on uh, of a racing game or a shooting game basically, and once the player have played his role and his part and he left the game, he is not online in the game, but and at that moment if any other player comes and he scores more point, in that case this database gets updated, the leaderboard gets updated. A trigger can be made using Lambda for that, and the triggers hits the pinpoint, and pinpoints notifies all the users there was a change in the leaderboard and stuff. So yeah, this is one of the basic use case which is very much common in any kind of game. So using Amazon services, we can this service, this structure can be created, and the journey or the this particular module can be more reliable and scalable basically. The next important thing when there is any kind of games to be developed or for any kind of gaming company is the analytics, because based on the analytics the company identifies the future development, or they understand the monetization angle of their game, and so they have this different features, uh, Kinesis data stream. So basically using Kinesis we can the images or let's say the videos or any kind of thing can be analyzed, so it's basically comes under machine learning and stuff. uh, we have Amazon gateways, they have this cloud watch, wherein using which we can keep updating our the means what kind of footfalls are there on your gaming, what kind of users are there on your application, how they are playing your how the games has been played, where are the drop points, where are the difficulties. Using the analytics tools of AWS, the life becomes quite easier, and basically more of the data collections and stuff becomes more easier, so that we can keep updating or enhancing our games and so. The next important module, which the service which AWS provide is machine learning tools. So they have this automate image analysis using Amazon Recognition. Amazon Recognition is again a service provided by AWS, wherein using which you can analyze the images of the users, or real time image recognition. Uh, they provide they provide this ratio of matches as well. Plus there is this virtual voice using Amazon Poly is again a service wherein we convert text to speech. So in case you have any kind of games wherein commentary or those kind of things is very important. So they have this around 15 or so different languages available, wherein your text can be converted to speech, and with the machine learning it is converted more human friendly voices, uh, male female both. There is again detecting player fraud. As I mentioned, security is very important when we develop game. Many a times, I have personally experienced games wherein the the players do phishing or any kind of Trojan kind of thing, wherein they move into the packets been transmitted and they change the leaders board or they update their points. And so Amazon SageMaker is something which helps over here. This is an a machine learning tool wherein it gets updated with what kind of data has been collected and what kind of auto intelligence we have mentioned. So moving forward, we have this. I haven't personally used Amazon Gamelift. So Amazon Gamelift is again one of the best services, which have been recently, not recently, but a couple of years back they have launched this. So Amazon Gamelift basically enables developer to deploy, scale real-time deployment of any kind of game. Scalability of the game has been maintained. Session-based games can be handled over here. So they have this low latency plus matchmaking. So whenever we develop a game wherein multiplayer is involved, in that case we have to write some custom code for the matchmaking, for real time hosting and stuff. Amazon Gamelift have one point solution for that. They have this feature wherein we just need there is a typical template wherein we mention our matching points, key at what percentage of the level should be there and which data to be picked up. So there's this fixed template. Using that template, they do this auto matchmaking plus real time hosting. We make change, we host on multiple devices, and we can test. So it is that quick. So Amazon Gamelift can be used irrespective to any kind of gaming engine we use. It is available for Unity, Unreal, any kind of gaming engine. Plus, recently Amazon have also, there is also this Lumberyard. There is this gaming engine which has been developed by Amazon. It has been so the best part is it comes integrated with all of these services. As I mentioned, uh, it is very important that the high-end games which has been developed nowadays should be on servers, should be running real time on the cloud basically. Plus with that we have to also maintain the costs and cost structure of our application, because many a times what happens is most of the companies are very fear, or they are very confused to move their applications or games to cloud, keeping in mind ki it would be very cost impacted. Basically, it's, as I told, most of this cloud services have this pay as you go kind of model. So whatever things we consume, we pay for that. In that case, it becomes very easier when you have where you have this basically when you have building a game from scratch. And plus when we move a game, when we migrate a game from this local servers or these things to the cloud servers, in that thing, in that situation, it is basically advantage and disadvantage of what we require, because uh, we can save the time of the users interaction. We can save uh, uh, the data providing time. So the latency can be controlled. So eventually it is weighing the advantages and disadvantages, and accordingly we can this web this cloud services can be used or maintained for any kind of applications, any kind of games which has to be migrated. But eventually building games on cloud is something which is in trend, and most around 70-80% of high end games are already using this cloud technologies. Other than that, so the most important thing is with this they have this n number of services. Now it's again a pain point to keep keep integrating the services and keep deploying the services each time. So they have again, so they have templatized this whole architecture using AWS cloud formation. It's basically a JSON kind of template wherein we can mention or configure each of our services which we need. So, for example, if we are building a microservice for multiplayer or turn-based game, so in that case, there are multiple services which will be requiring over there. In spite of creating each services, we can have this templatized engine wherein we can mention all of our features which we require, or what is the configuration we require, and it's just a button click. It moves to their service. It get created. It gets updated for you, and then we can consume it. So basically, when we are doing any kind of migration or any kind of production shift or those kind of thing, we do not have to keep creating new system each time, each process each time, each service and integration each time. So we can use this cloud formation and stuffs to integrate it and move it. So basically saying, any kind of games can, it's my personal personal experience and opinion, any kind of games security and a high end game, its availability plus its scalability can be much better if it has been taken on the cloud. Their experience, because couple of years back the internet was a major issue, but nowadays internet is the best thing which we have. The greatest revolution or the greatest evolution which happened is in the internet field. We have high bandwidth systems, so that is not a challenge. That would never be a challenge. So in my personal opinion, any kind of gaming applications which we develop or these things, it would be more better if it has been developed or it has been created on cloud basically, and can be consumed from the any kind of cloud devices.
Kuldeep.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We have 15 more minutes, so probably I think you're almost done.
Yeah, I'm done. So we can have any QA if possible.
Yeah, you can check the discuss panel. In that, you can check the Q&A section. You have multiple questions. Probably you can answer them one by one.
Okay. So first, there is this question: what is cost of AWS? So I'll just so basically they have this AWS calculator wherein you can check the cost of different. So each of the services have a different costing system. As I said, it is more of pay as you go. If you are consuming 2 GB of any kind of system, it will cost you that much. For example, if you are using any kind of API gateways or S3 bucket storage where you are storing your images, videos, the amount of data you pull from there, they will cost you that much. In case if you are starting your application, if you are starting a game from scratch, they have this free tier system as well. You can use that for the development purpose. Once we are through that, you can have this staging environment set. You can have this production environments set and stuff. So if you want, I can AWS calculator. I can share the link over here. Okay. Will AWS good for runtime multiplayer games like PUBG? Yeah, it is basically. So what happens is, okay. So basically, when we talk about multiplayer games, in that case, what is more important for us is the syncing of the players and the rendering of any kind of uh, assets. In that case, AWS have services, as I mentioned. There was this SNS which work in PubSub model. We have this, you can create a WebSocket kind of thing, and you can put it on the on the cloud engine where the transmission of your data is very quick. You can write all your business logic over there. For example, in the one you mentioned, PUBG, how at what damage the user will get, at what level will get. So in that, eventually what happens is whenever you do this kind of logic on your client side, as I mentioned, there is there is it is security on client is not possible. There is nothing called a security on client. It is just enhancing the user experience. All kind of business logics should be done on the server side, and by having this better services, it is now very much possible. Depending upon, they have this very quick uh, uh, processing speed, wherein they have good infra with them. We do not need to bother to have our own this good service or infra at our end. So this becomes, eventually it becomes very good to use AWS or any of the cloud engine for multiplayer games. Okay, what is Cognito? Okay, so Cognito is basically an authentication service. It provides a token for each user whenever they log in. It's a service which monitors the users this levels and process. So Cognito is an authentication service provided by AWS, which can be integrated with any of your game, so that your game becomes more easier, more secure, and there is more authenticity in your application, in your game. Can you provide any YouTube channel who provide game development course? So game development course is
Kuldeep, I think this is very generic question, and you can answer.
Okay. So it is nowadays we have good Google service, so you can find it out over there. How much AWS costs? Can we tailor its use for our needs, or will we be paying for all the things? So as I mentioned, AWS is, it is very budget friendly. I would personally, it is my personal experience. I have not only AWS, I have worked on other cloud infras as well, Azure and Google Cloud. As I meant, so basically, many of time it is very difficult to have a big server setup, and each time to change the hardware or update the hardware, or getting a third party IT vendors to do that. So you can have this in a house. So there are with this cost which you pay to the cloud infra, you parallelly save many of it when you have your own environment or physical servers. You have to get your server team. You have to get your DevOps team. DevOps team is anyways important in any kind of this application. Irrespective to that, you have to get this third party vendor to manage it, and those kind of things. Using plus whenever you have this good user response, in case if you want to upgrade it, it's again a challenging task. I'll come to that. Okay. So basically, AWS cost, as I said, it is paper wala model. You can, as I have mentioned the link for the AWS calculator. You can go to that, whatever services they have. If you need, you can use. You can go to their Game Tech website. You have AWS Game Tech. You have all these features and stuffs and case studies, basically, so that if it relates to you, you can you can use it. I'll, if required, I can share my details as well in future. If want to connect, we can surely do that. How much you use, that much pay for AWS? I didn't got this question. How much you use, that much you pay for AWS? Amazon AWS versus Google Firebase, which would be better choice in speed and development and cost wise for mobile multiplayer games? Okay, so Firebase, as I mentioned, they have their own this architectures and stuff. So Firebase, they provide they do provide this database. They do provide the notifications. They do provide authentication. Amazon have their own services. It's completely the architecture. The one who is developing the architecture of the game, it is completely his or her opinion to use whichever infra they tend to use. It is completely their option, their choice. But comparatively, they are more or less the same thing. with different this frameworks and architecture. That's all. Rest the requirement which a developer or any kind of game requires, they both have comparatively they both have. I am very much in AWS. As an architecture, I would personally go with Amazon AWS. It is like server instead of doing. So for PUBG or IO type games, which server side architecture to use? Is it Node.js or okay? So again, as I mentioned, it is so. Personally, I don't feel programming languages makes much difference. It's your companies or this monetization value. Or, how much good developers and what skill sets of developers you have. Accordingly, you can choose any kind of programming language. Then I am AWS Cloud Backend Web Developer. Any suggestions to change to game development? Change to game development. As I mentioned, the this kind of things are more of enhancing skills. So you can try with Unity, and with the or better AWS, they have their own Lumberyard gaming engine. You can try with that. You start using that, and accordingly you can it's basically how much experience you get while developing stuff. How to monetize a mobile game other than ads. Uh, Other than ads, as I mentioned, you it depends upon what kind of games you have. So many of the games have assets. People sell those assets, uh, uh, and this can be used. This can be done using different services, as I mentioned. The analytics services. Using analytics, you can monitor the users or the players. Uh, how they are interacting with your game, and accordingly you can judge, and you can create your business model or your gaming monetization model. So it's completely how best you can do. Ads is something, it is an additional thing which you get as this. But other than that, it's how you develop your gaming engine or the business model of any kind of games which you have created. We have this Q&A wala column bhi. Okay, so will AWS good for runtime multiplayer? Okay, fine. What is cognitive? Okay, fine. So other than this, in case you want to answer what's my idea, we will look for the question. Cool. Anything?
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you're done with the questions, I think you can hang out in our lounge area.
Okay.
And if people have more questions, they would connect with you there.
Cool. Fine. Works. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Please get in touch in case any issue. I'm free to answer any of the questions.
Yes, surely. Thank you so much, Kuldeep. It was nice to have you.